Okay, so I decided to take you all with me on a creative writing journey through my neighborhood. Now, my particular creative process requires me to basically just kind of walk around and think of things and just kind of let things ruminate. I'm just walking through this little alley here. And one of the things that I wanted to work on is basically this particular concept that it just kind of came to me in the evening. And the joke was effectively the concept was like Mars, the planet of Mars, right? Mars. So I thought to myself, I want to write a joke about Mars. And then the second thing that came to me was the word prostitution, right? So that, okay, now we have the core of the joke is prostitution on Mars. Now, what the fuck does that mean, right? Where do you go from there? So I thought to myself, okay, let us envision a scenario. Based on all the research that I've done so far, you require to have characters. You should have like act outs, and you should also do some voices, right? So the situation was, okay, let's ask a question. How does the first prostitute on Mars come to be? Is she male? Is she female? Is she gender neutral? Is she a robot? I don't know. Now this is pretty much, whoa, there's a lot of cars here. I'm pretty much certain that we're gonna have to go on Mars, right? So most likely the first prostitute on Mars is going to be human. So I thought to myself, okay, so the first prostitute, not only will the first prostitute on Mars be human, just by the value of deduction, the first prostitute on Mars is going to be vegan. How did I come to this particular conclusion in my this random kind of like stream of consciousness, stream of thoughts? Well, it's quite simple. If you go to Mars, you kind of have to be vegan. You probably have to be forced to be vegan because you can't really. There's no meat on Mars, right? How are you gonna put a goat in a spaceship and travel and take it to Mars? That doesn't sound particularly feasible, right? So you're gonna have to basically stock up that whole kind of spaceship with seeds and other vegetables to take it to Mars. So henceforth, the first prostitute on Mars is going to be vegan by this brilliant chain of deduction. However, we could actually draw another parallel here and talk about how the scenario of taking goats through space, right? And have a little kind of goats through space is kind of funny. Imagine taking goats through space. Have you guys seen how like mischievous goats are? Goats in zero gravity. Now that has the makings of an alien reenactment, but with goats in space. Okay, so onwards to the creative process. So you have goats in space. Now that we've kind of created this little accolade where we talk about how the potential harm of goats in space that might cause to the exploration team, right? Potentially, also these goats gotta poop, so you're just gonna be dumping poop in space, goat poop in space, which effectively is an interesting idea in itself. But okay, let's go back to Mars. So you're on Mars at the moment, and you have basically all these vegans planting potatoes. Maybe zucchinis, and you want to use zucchini in this particular joke because using the words with letter K is just generally funny, right? So you got a bunch of zucchini potato farmers on Mars, and what I imagine happens, one of them just kind of says, fuck this zucchini planting and potato planting is too much for me, therefore I shall resort to exchanging sexual favors for rations. And you want to use the word ration because it's just funnier. So now you have a bunch of Martian farming vegans and one particular gender non-specific person who is just down to, exchange sexual favors for rations, which effectively would be the first prostitute on Mars, right? Now the first prostitute on Mars, that first prostitute on Mars is gonna get a Wikipedia page. They're probably gonna get a Wikipedia page, but this particular person, the one that's giving out sexual favors for rations, is gonna get a nicer Wikipedia page. And then now we've introduced a new concept which potentially allows us to branch off into another area of comedy and talk about Wikipedia pages. And potentially, if you want to go into that direction heavily, just off the top of my brain, you can talk about the meaning of life. Because shouldn't the meaning of life to be basically immortal or live forever? And what is the best way to live forever than to have a Wikipedia page? So, what is the easiest way to get a Wikipedia page on Mars? Well, think about it. Everyone who's going to be engaging in any profession on Mars is going to have a Wikipedia page. The first potato farmer, the first architect, the first rapist. Which, the first rapist is kind of the easiest way to get a Wikipedia page on Mars, right? It's like really the cheat code. Now the introduction of rapist in this particular joke at this point might actually be a bit controversial because it is going to offend somebody, but it is going to have a tremendous comedic effect because you escalate the whole joke into another level, right? However, if people get offended by raping people, which very common people do, you can reintroduce the whole rapist element in space and have them rape the goat on its way to Mars to have a higher shock element. But obviously, if you don't want to kind of go into the shock elements and go for like the Louis C.K. Top Segura aspect of like introducing some form of like shock in there, what you can do is you can take the whole thing in a much more woke direction, which is what I'm thinking at the moment. So what you could say is, like, oh, the first prostitute on Mars, man. And you can be like, well, isn't that some antiquated form of thinking? Because here we are talking about the future and we're using concept from the present to put into the future. What if by the time we get to Mars, there's no such thing as the term prostitution, huh? Because by that time, prostitution and offering sexual favors for money will have been normalized. Sex work would have been completely normalized, and it's going to be considered an appropriate career path. You can actually put that down in 4th grade on your what my dream is to become when I'm going to become an adult, right? So that which is potentially possible, right? And then what you can do in that situation, what I would normally do in that situation is I would basically take that element of seriousness and wokeness and basically kind of take it more into what's the word? Add some silliness to it. Yeah, you want to add a bit of silliness to it, right? Okay, so now that we have effectively come to the agreement that this particular joke, in the future, sex work is perfectly kind of supported and approved by society, and not only that, but it also is kind of elevated to a basic human necessity, right? If we go to Mars, we are going to have to send people there that are experts in providing sexual favors, because all these Martians, that as we are called now, all these Martian vegans, are gonna be very stressed, and they're gonna need to kind of let out all their sexual frustrations and just have like sexual freedom. Not let it out, just have sexual freedom, right? So what's gonna happen in that situation? NASA is gonna put out a tender for specialized sex work to be done on Mars, right? And what I want to take this in terms of seriousness, I want to take it towards NASA is going to put out a call for the best and the best of butt eaters. So NASA puts out a tender for people that are willing to go to Mars and eat ass. Now, eating ass might be a bit vulgar, so I'm not sure if I want to use that particular phrasing in a comedy show. So I shall defer to the term tossing salad, which you are not familiar. If you are not familiar with, to toss a salad means to eat ass, right? So effectively, NASA now has professional salad tossers that they are going to send to Mars, NASA or SpaceX, whoever, sent to Mars to kind of basically serve the greater good in the advancement of humanity. And boy, oh boy, are these the best solid salad tossers in the world? Yes, they are. Now, they also get ranks. They are 4-star Michelin chefs when it comes to salads, tossing of the salads, right? So then this opportunity to do an act out and be like, they're not just your regular salad tossers. They add, they prepare the dish properly, right? And then you do a bit of cooking allegories, right? They start adding a little bit of, olive oil to the mix, right? Spice it up before they eat it, right? So then you start off with, with Mars, and you go into this whole direction of, basically you kind of want to end it as a comedian, end it on eating ass on Mars, which is pretty funny, type of end. But then you can expand it even further and kind of go into to emphasize the superlative and like the ridiculousness of it. You can even create an academy of tossing salads, the fine prestigious Academy of Tossing Salad. And I don't know why they're French, but it looks like it's gonna be in France. So those are kind of my creative process thoughts for this particular journey. I'm going to try to do more of these if this was interesting. But if you guys like it, drop me a subscribe, say something nice. And more walkabouts in Berlin with Dragos for creative process of jokes. Now, I don't know if this joke's ever going to make the stage, but it sure was a fun kind of experiment.